These brothers made the purchase of a lifetime. It was a large piece of land on the outskirts of town. They were planning to build their own home there, but they did not expect this shed to still be present on the grounds. They opened it, and inside they found a hidden secret that revealed the identity of the former owner, and that discovery changed their lives. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Brothers. Henry and Tom were on their way to their purchased piece of land. It was a thrilling drive, and both brothers couldn't wait to see what their investment had bought them. They got the place for basically nothing at an online auction, so maybe it was a bust. But still, excitement was high. They arrived at the gate and took the first steps on their new property. Henry picked up a steel pipe that was laying in some rubble and shoved it between the lock's chains. "What will be inside?" Tom asked his brother with an excited look on his face. Henry didn't know, but he shared his enthusiasm. The air inside was musky and it was too dark to see anything properly, so Henry and Tom used their flashlights to look around. Mold had formed on some empty cabinets and vegetation had overgrown most of the shed's innards, but there was something in the back that piqued their interest, because in the right corner of the worn-down building there were multiple large boxes, some with hanging locks just like the shed had, but smaller, and some with no locks at all. "What will be the unique treasure inside?" Tom shouted, smiling as they lifted the boxes out into the open. Once outside, it was time to unlock their interesting findings, and their insides proved it. They were filled with documents, a complex-looking blueprint, and pictures of a man and his family. They didn't just look old. They saw black and white pictures of a man supporting a huge mustache, a woman in a corset, and a little girl holding a creepy doll. "These must have been the original owners," Henry said in amazement. They went through the stuff again, eager to find out who these people were, and then Henry saw something on the blueprint he recognized. But what really caught his attention was the thing that was scribbled in the corner. The blueprint was filled with perfectly straight lines, drawings so detailed and precise that they must have taken months to create. But there was one detail that was free-flowing. It was the signature of the maker. The initials read RS, and they were encased in an upside-down triangle. Something about it seemed familiar to Henry. The local library was the first stop on their road to discovery. The two brothers split up tasks and searched for hours, but unfortunately to no prevail. There was no trace of this mysterious RS. They had to try something else. Tom told Henry that they needed outside help. Maybe someone in this town knew more about RS and the land they had bought. So that's when they placed an ad in the regional newspaper asking for help in their search for the mysterious RS. And then the wait began, and it was a long one. For almost 2 months there was nothing but dead silence. But then, one early morning, the phone in Tom's house rang. It was 6:15 o'clock and it was still dark outside. "Who calls me at this hour?" Tom wondered, slightly irritated. He picked up the phone, and on the other end a man answered. He told Tom that he was a historian and that he saw the men's ad. "I am convinced I can help you," he said. Tom couldn't believe it. After 2 long months of waiting, they finally had a lead on who this person might be. Tom just had to tell his brother in person. So without a moment of hesitation, he put on his clothes, jumped into his car, and drove over to his brother's house. It was 6:45 when he rang Henry's doorbell over and over. Henry's sleepy face opened the front door. But once Tom explained who had called, Henry's eyes lit up. "What are we waiting for? Let's go!" Tom shouted. The two men got in Tom's car and drove over to the historian's workplace. Tom said that the historian did not only have a name, but also lots of other files that would be of much interest to us. Once at the workshop of the historian, the two brothers were greeted by an elderly man. There, they did not waste any time. The old man told the brothers that the man they were looking for was named Robert Stevenson, the original owner of the land. "Stevenson? That is also our last name," Henry said in awe. Later, they would find out that this was no coincidence. The historian told them that Robert Stevenson was the wealthiest man in town, maybe even in the entire region. He lived back in 19th century, but besides his birth year and his status, there wasn't much known about him. It fascinated the historian deeply, and that's why he spent years of his life studying this mysterious man. And that's when he grabbed the biggest clue so far. The historian looked at the stuff the brothers brought with them and saw that there was a blueprint in there. "Hey, a blueprint. I have one of those as well," he said. Henry and Tom turned around and looked at the old man with big eyes. A second blueprint? What will be on there? Does it give new information? Oh God, you are right, the historian said. He told the men that after Robert Stevenson's death, all traces of his life seemed to have vanished. His guess was that this secret room that lay in the same location as the shed might have something to do with it. What was he saying? Were they onto something? Was their shed more than just an old building? There was no time to lose. They thanked the old man and told him that they would keep in touch if they found something. Within minutes, both brothers were back in the car on their way to the land and the shed, the bought. This was so exciting. They approached the shed. They now stood in the center of the shed. It was a place they had searched before, and a place that back then didn't bear much fruit. What could be so different now? They opened every cabinet and flipped all of the objects upside down, but they found nothing. Maybe they were all just imagining it. But then Tom stomped on the ground and heard a strange sound. "Henry, come over here. I think there is a hollow space underneath the earth here." They crouched down and started digging away the dirt vigorously. "Do you see something? What is it?" Henry shouted enthusiastically. It took both men about 15 minutes to fully clear all the dirt covering it. But when it was done, they stared at a wooden hatch in the ground. And with trembling hands, both brothers reached for the handle to open this wooden cover, revealing what lay beneath. It was a dark hole with a ladder attached to one side. It was Henry who traveled down into the hole first, and Tom followed shortly thereafter. They were blind in this darkness, and on multiple occasions, they pumped into hard and pointy objects. "Can you see anything?" Tom asked his brother, but he got no response. Then he remembered that he had a lighter in his back pocket. He clicked it, and a weak flame appeared. Both men stepped closer towards the painting. But then Tom noticed something. Robert Stevenson did not only share their last name, some of his features also pretty closely matched their own. The big round family nose and the birthmark on his forehead that a lot of family members had, according to their dad. Could Robert Stevenson potentially be their ancestor? Henry noticed that one of the corner pieces of fabric was loose just a bit. He inspected the gap and even put his finger into the hole for a moment. "Tom, there is something behind here," he said, smiling. Henry pulled it out and presented it to his brother. It was an old key, but that was not the only thing that came out. A letter fell on the ground at the same time. Henry looked at the envelope and saw the upside-down triangle again in the wax seal. That's when he remembered something. Their father also used to draw it on stuff related to the family. He opened the letter and read, "If you find this secret room in my letter, you are a direct descendant of my bloodline, and with that, you are entitled to all my family's riches. The key that comes along with this letter will help you unlock all of my wealth. This is my way to ensure the future for my family and all kin that follows." Henry and Tom looked at the key in amazement. They searched and pretty soon found an old iron chest. The key fitted perfectly, and when they opened it, tons of golden and silver coins appeared. They were in shock when they made this discovery. They hugged and lifted the heavy chest to their car, and as if telepathic, they both knew exactly what to do with the money. They were going to use the blueprints from Robert Stevenson and rebuild the old family home, a dedication to his legacy and a wonderful place for them to live. It took them 2 years to build, but eventually it was perfect, from the materials used to the layout. Every inch was documented by RS, and Henry and Tom made sure to honor that. They even built the secret room back in. The historian found the family tree, and they were indeed related. It was perfect. Now his house from the past was their home for the future.